dope fiends in prison ain't much different than dope fiends on the street. In prison, a dope fiend will do almost anything to get that dope. And what I mean by that is a dope fiend will give up his butt cheeks, or he will, put his lips on places that he shouldn't put his lips, because he really don't want to put his lips, but because he wants that dope, he's willing to do whatever it takes. Or on the opposite spectrum, a dope fiend may use his mother or his father or his wife to constantly send him money inside of prison so he can buy that prison dope. And in prison, you know one thing. If you think they step on the dope on the street, they triple step on that dope in prison. No, times 10 tripled. They step on it, step on it, step on it. Next thing you know, you snorting baby powder mixed with sugar and one speck of coke or one speck of heroin. And that's all you getting. And next thing you know, you shooting coffee creamer in your veins or crushed up, secret, dried up, cooked women's deodorant. And now you resorting into a life of stealing. And you wonder why you're in prison and you rotting away when you should be on the weight pile, or you should be reading books and getting an education and making yourself better. And if you can't get off of dope in prison, you are in big trouble when you get back on the streets. You are likely going to die a dope fiend. And that's a sad existence. And I'm not saying that to beat anybody up. I'm saying that because I want people to recognize the seriousness of being an addict. An addict will send you down a dark, deep rabbit hole that's full of carcasses. Ain't no live rabbits in there. They all died a long time ago. Because everybody who goes into that rabbit hole meets the same fate. A junkie's, dope fiend, dead-end fate, where you left stinking and everybody forgot you and your bones are just piled up and mixed up with the carcasses of other rabbits because you couldn't get off the dope. And everybody told you to get off that dope, but you didn't want to get off that dope. You want to be stuck on that dope for life. See, at first you got on that dope because it was cool. It made you feel good. It made you, enjoy life a little bit better, party a little better. And in some sad instances, it made you cope a little bit better, because sometimes dope sends people into a downward spiral because of grief and sadness and depression. And then I meet people in prison who the doctor puts them on more dope, and the medical personnel gives them prescriptions, and then it sends them into a deeper, darker hole, man, when people are trying to get them off the dope. And the people, like their dad, if their dad or their uncle or their aunt saying, hey, look, you got to quit using that dope or you're going to die, they don't want to hear that, because the doctor said that they got some kind of imbalance in their brain and they need more substances to fix the substance, that's off inside their body. And then it's just a never-ending cycle, man. And you know how many people I know who have died because of that dope? See, when I was coming up in the 80s and the 90s, it went from crack to the heroin. And it was shooting up that bar. And that dope was killing them, man. Dudes were full. The prison system in Louisiana, throughout the whole U.S., was filled with dudes who were banging that stuff in their arm. They wasn't snorting it, man, because that wasn't good enough. That was like wasting. They were shooting it. And I'm glad that I didn't reach that same fate. That's why I always say that prison saved my life. Prison could save a person's life. Prison ain't a sad story if going to prison saves your life. And I believe prison likely saved my life. It made me a better man. It made me into the man I am today, a contributing member to society. And I watch people get out of prison after spending, some of them, decades in prison. They get out and they still struggle with that dope. They get back on that dope and they wind up back in prison or dead, and they break their mother's heart, who waited for them all those years and thought they were going to do better. They sold them pipe dreams to their own mom, their own kids, and they got out and they didn't do right. And I ain't talking about if you got out and you did right and things just didn't go your way. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about if you were talking about getting out, you just had one more chance, you was going to do right, and the only thing that you did was get loaded and get high and get drunk. Nah, man, you got to look in the mirror, and you need to be told the truth. And it's better to be offended by the truth than it is to die on a mountain of lies. It's just better, man. Get offended. It's okay. You know, sometimes it's good to be. If you ain't getting offended by the right things, you ain't going to improve the right way. And I'm saying all that because I know they got people still struggling with substance abuse. Actually, substance abuse is getting worse and worse all the time. Different drugs, different days. And now it's even more dangerous to use it because that stuff will knock you dead quicker than you could imagine. You know, they said the stuff that they, you know, that fentanyl, man, dangerous, brothers, sisters, it's dangerous. Don't do it. Care about yourself and care about your family. Care about your life. You get one life only. Do you really want to spend it so high and inebriated that you don't know what's going on around you? Take a deep breath, man. There's a lot to enjoy. It might not be perfect, but if you look easy enough, you ain't even got to look hard, you'll see things that really make you smile and that could change your life. And I hope this simple, short video touched somebody. If you're struggling with drugs, get help. Believe in yourself. Take a deep breath. Say a prayer. Cry out to God. Something can change. You just got to make that first step. And sometimes it's just literally taking that deep breath and saying, I'm done.